Hello students, welcome to another video of RNS Tech. So this video will be slightly off the path of my educational channel. So in this video I'll be discussing about your publications, because everywhere you apply or for any post or for any scientist post, they look at your publication record or how much is your citation. I'll be discussing all the concepts of publication. Basically I'll be discussing that how you can get your paper published in high impact journal. So first of all, I'll start what is an impact factor. So impact factor is basically, it was invented by Eugene Garfield for the Science Citation Index in 1965. It was the first systematic effort to track citation in the scientific literature. The matrices which are being used for calculation of this impact factor, or which represents the impact factor, they were issued by Thomson Reuters, which currently owns your SCI. Now what is the definition of an impact factor? It is the average number of citation received per paper published in that journal during the preceding 2 years. It means in the last 2 years, the number of citation received per paper which is being published by that journal decides the impact factor of that journal. So if suppose an example, if you want to calculate the impact factor of a particular journal for 2020, then what would be the formula? The formula would be number of times all items published in that journal in 2019 and 2018. Remember, the last 2 years were cited by index publication in 2020. It means in 2020, the total number of items which are being published by that particular journal in the last 2 years, how many times they have been cited, that determines your impact factor for that particular journal for that year. Now if I'm talking about a brand new journal which has been established today, so what happens to that? That journal will get its index, or that journal will get its impact factor after 2 years. So new journal index from issue 1 will receive impact factor after 2 years of indexing. If it is an SCI journal, then it will get its impact factor after 2 years of its indexing. Now moving further, these are all the journals. These are the very prestigious journal which, at least in my field, they all want to publish. This is the Lancet. This is JAMA. I have mentioned the impact factor also. This is New England Journal of Biomedicine. This is CA, a Cancer Journal for Clinician. This is your Science. This is your Nature. So all these publication, or all these journals, they have huge impact factors. As you can see, it is 45, 33, 51, and for clinician, a Cancer Journal for Clinician, it is at this moment it is 200 something. So if suppose a publication, all the scientists, they want to publish their data in these journals, but since these journals are very selective, so not all of us are able to publish in these journals. I'll be sharing few tips that might help you to get your paper published in these journals. My guidelines or my points or my tips would be in addition to the quality of your research paper. No matter what anyone is telling you on YouTube, if your quality of paper is not up to the standard of these journals, then your paper will not get accepted, no matter how much you apply these tricks and how many guru you follows. If the quality of your paper or the quality of your research is not up to their standards, they won't publish it. So now let's discuss something about the matrices which are used to calculate, or which are being used in the research environment nowadays. There are two types of matrices. These are scholar matrices and there are article level matrices. So scholar matrices, we have all heard the two names, H index and I10 index. So what is an H index and what is an I10 index? Let's make it clear for once and all. So H index means H paper, each of which has been cited at least H times. So let's suppose there is a paper let's suppose there is one paper, each of which has been cited at least h times. If I substitute h with the number, let's suppose there are 10 papers, each of which has been cited at least 10 times. It means 10 paper, if a particular scientist is having 10 paper, then if one paper, the first paper or the second paper, it is being cited 10 times, second also 10 times, 3 also 10 times, that determines your h index. So if a particular is having 10 h index, then it means all the papers which he is having in his account, they have been at least cited 10 times. This is a very good a statistical tool, or you can use statistical data to determine the quality of that particular individual research. And let's talk about I10 index. What is I10 index? It is the number of publication with at least 10 citation. So if a particular individual is having, let's suppose 20 papers in good impact factor journals, and out of there only 10 papers are having 10 citation, at least 10 citations. So then the I10 index for that particular individual will be 10. Now what are article level matrices? These are the number of citation in scientific publications like Google Scholar. You can, as you all know, we can create a Google Scholar account and we can check all the other scientists data, that how they are doing. And there are certain other also like citation outside academia, like alt metric. This is an alternative metric for impact. Concrete data for grants and fellowship. You can use these types of matrices to provide concrete data for your grants and fellowship. Now, as per my knowledge or as per my experience, if you want to talk about that one particular field which is continuously having high impact factor journals, which is having more probability of getting accepted into high impact factor journal, is your biological lab techniques associated. As you can see in this example also, this is a paper which is written by Dr. Oliver Lowry. It is the protein estimation by Lowry's method. So it was the first paper which was using which have devised a method for protein estimation, like protein measurement with phenol reagent. It was written by Lowry, and till date it is the highest cited article till date on the face of earth. As you can see, it is having more than 350,000 citations. So this paper also indicate, or this example also indicates, that the top paper which are being cited or which are being accepted in high impact factor journals or high citation they are related to any biological technique which is new, not previously old technique, not that you are using a particular technique and then you are getting some results. Those are not talking about this. I'm talking about a particular newly devised biological technique or bioinstrumentation technique or biotechnology lab technique which has been not devised till date. So as you can see in this data also, all the top 100 papers, if you talk about this axis show total citation. Then the red color, if you talk about biological lab technique, is having almost 300,000 or 3 lakh citation till date, and it is continuously growing. So if you want to get a paper which is highest citation, then develop a lab based technique. Now if you can get some tips from naturesjob.com. A single publication in a high impact journal can change your career trajectory. It is well known fact that if you having a particular JAMA journal publication, then your CV will be looking very much different than a particular individual who is not having a JAMA publication. Now it has to have an exceptional quality in order to be accepted in these journals. This is one of the tip from Nature's Job, that it has to have an exceptional quality, out of the box quality. Now what are the 3 components that which if you follow, then the probability of your paper getting accepted in a high impact factor journal increases. One is the content, another one is your style, and another one is your communication. So let's talk about these parameters in detail. So when we talk about content, then content is what is all over your research, and what is your research basically, what is the data that you are putting in your research or in your publication. So first and foremost, which you have to keep a point is formulate an important research question. Now this topic or this point has to be kept in mind in order to distinguish your research from your fellow individuals or for your fellow scientists, because all of the people are working in a similar kind of field. And now if you want a high publication journal, then you have to formulate an important research question which has not been answered previously. Clinically important or define new mechanism. An example of this technique or is this query or this tip is it should be a clinically important data. Like it should not be data which has already a particular technique which you are using to getting your results. It should be clinically important to the doctors, or you are defining a completely new mechanism for a completely new phenomena. That should be your priority. Now you don't have to just describe the phenomena or confirm to the already existing theories. You just have to devise a new theory, a new concept, a new mechanism. You have to identify those things. Now another tip is sound study design. What do you mean by sound study design? I've seen a lot of scientists, they work in clinical research or they work in epidemiological studies, but when they write their publication, they don't write or they don't get an ethical committee approval before pursuing or before starting their research work. This represents a very bad study design, because if you are involving a population based study, if you're doing, and if you're not conducting or if you are not having an ethical committee approval, then this gives a bad impression on the editor's mind. Try it to be as near perfect as possible. Now third is data should be at the heart of everything you do. Now what does this mean? It means that whatever you're saying, whatever you're concluding, or whatever you are hypothesizing, it should be abundantly evident from your data, because no one is going to believe what you have done or what you are saying. They are only going to believe what you are present them in with the help of your graphs, your results, your figures, your images. So be 100% sure that you take every picture, every data you have to collect in a proper way, because you as a scientist is as good as is your data, because no one is going to believe you without data. As a data scientist, as you know, there are a lot of jobs now opening like of data scientist. And even in your e-commerce, they don't consider a single step, they don't take a single step in towards innovation if you don't have enough data, if you don't have sufficient data. Now let's talk about style. Now as you can see in this figure, you should have a strong title. It is the most important determinant of how many people will read it, because it's like your title is attracting the readers that read my paper. Like in YouTube videos, you see that this thing is happening, don't watch this video until you have done this. So this title of your manuscript is kind of doing the same thing. This is attracting the readers to read your paper. As you can see in this figure, your title is going to be read by, let's suppose, 100,000 people. Out of those 100,000 people, only approximately 10% of them are going to read your abstract, depending upon how good is your title. It can be a lower number, so it comes to 10,000. Now out of this 10,000, only 10% or less going to actually read your paper. So only, let's suppose, 100 people are going to read your paper if your title is good. Now if you talk about abstract, don't write your abstract in a hurry, because during my PhD years I have seen a lot of my PhD friends, they put all their efforts in writing the manuscript, but they put their least effort in writing the abstract, which is a horribly wrong decision. Why? Let me discuss. A journal is an abstract is what? Abstract is the summary of your manuscript. Here you are selling your manuscript to the editors, to the journal's editor, that publish my research So if your editor is not, if the journal or editor of that journal is not impressed by that abstract, he's not gonna look at the complete paper. No matter how wonderful your research is, if he's not happy or if he's not liking your abstract, then he will not simply pursue your manuscript to the next stage. Reason being, they are very busy. They don't have time to read the complete manuscript. So journal editors may only read title and abstract to decide or reject your paper or your manuscript. When editors choose a synopsis to write your selected articles, they scan through titles and abstract. So they are only looking at the first phase. They're only looking for title and abstract. So make sure you put your as much as effort you are putting in your writing your manuscript. Put 200% effort in writing your abstract, because this is your selling point. Should work it like a marketing tool. Consider this abstract as your marketing tool or as your advertisement, which you are showing to the journal's editor that publish my journal. This, my research is this important. I have done this, and why my research is important. So summarize key points to help reader decide if paper is worth reading. Now, what you have to write in your abstract? Just few points. You have to concise your complete manuscript. You have to introduce your topic. You have to state the problem. You have to summarize your findings and demonstrate broader implication or impact. Who it impacts on, broader relevance. The next part, when you start writing the publication or when you start writing your manuscript. So it is not a 1 or 2 day process where you just start writing your manuscript. First you need to meet your supervisor or among your colleagues. Then you have to discuss, then you have to formulate a strategy that how you're going to write that particular manuscript. First you have to decide if your publication is if your work is your purely science or it is your medically related paper. What is the difference? Science is a field which comprises all the sciences which is happening in the world, and medical is a particular kind of research which is important to clinicians or doctors, like clinical trial data, like a particular therapy drug which is being currently used, the toxicity towards that drug. These are the clinically related data or survival data for particular chemotherapeutic drug. So these are clinically relevant data. So first you have to decide that if your paper fits into the category of science or medical paper. Now after deciding that, choose an appropriate journal. Before writing the manuscript, target the journal that I'll be publishing my data in this journal. Now draft your paper according to that journal with those readers in mind. Try to find out who are the readers for that journal. It is try to find out who are the readers for that journal. Try to find out the aims and scope, and try to analyze that who might be reading this journal. So doctors need medical info and useful stats. If your paper is a clinically relevant data, then the doctors are really interested into the medical info, like overall survival rate or relative risk or over odds ratio or progression-free survival. These are the few simple terms which I've been using in my research, because mine is a kind of a clinical data. We are working on a population-based study. So try to analyze your data according to your desired journal. Now tell your research as a compelling story. This is very important point, that you have to make the editor willing to read your manuscript. It's not simply that you have done this, we have gotten this much result, and since this research has not been done previously, so that's why my research is important. That is not sufficient enough. This is good in the previous days, but now since the competition is very high to get published in high impactful journals, so you have to devise certain out of the box thinking. So what you have to do, tell your research as a compelling story. So if this is a very old age technique, that as soon as the person who's listening or writing or reading your paper, then if he is very much compelled towards reading it, then there are higher chances that he is liking it. So ask a big question, answer it as fully as possible. Good research build up a whole picture of system. Another important tip is keep it simple. You don't overcomplicate the things. Keep it simple, and no more than 3 key messages need to be involved in your manuscript. Now, another important point which you have to keep in mind while if you want to publish in high impactful journals is presenting your data. Now, suppose there is a clinical data. You're like in my case, I will do I'm involved in lung cancer patient population based study, and we are analyzing that particular chemotherapy drugs are how much involved in increasing or decreasing the overall survival of lung cancer patient. So try to make interactive visualization of your data, like this graph. These kind of graphs are very important. They increases the interest of the reader, like these kind of data, like the 76% of men, 43% of men are here, women are here, like these kinds of data. Try to make an interactive data out of your manuscript, or try to include graphs, try to include pie charts, try to minimize the use of tables and unnecessary figures. I'm not saying tables are not important. Tables are very important part of your manuscript if you are representing critical data in them. And don't try to write whatever you have written in the tables in your manuscript as such, because tables should be somewhat which is the data which is not already you have not already explained in your manuscript. Table is somewhat different than your manuscript. It is not entirely different. It is related to your manuscript, but it should represent a data which has not been completely explained in the manuscript text. So try to do that. Try to involve interactive graphs. Try to include a small video about your research. Try to include these kinds of pie charts or these kinds of bar graphs, these kinds of interaction between different genes. If your work is involved with different genes, that this gene is linked with this gene, and this is a interrelation between two different genes or two different proteins or two different molecules. So bottom line is, try to represent your data in a interactive way. Now, what about explaining your data? Translate your findings into accessible and meaningful information. You should try to explain your data so that a common person can understand your data. You should clearly indicate if you're working with statistical data. For example, if you're working with your clinical data, then there is a term called, when you apply stats, then a term is called p-value. So you definitely include what is a p-value. You should clearly explain what a p-value signifies with concrete examples. Ensure your stats are relevant for the audience. Try to include the stats which is only relevant to the audience or whatever the reader base of that particular journal. Like for clinical journal I was talking about, OR, relative risk, these are for medical journals. So these are very important terms. You have to include these terms in your manuscript. Now, cover letter. Cover letter, this is an entirely different topic. I will be covering this cover letter description, how to write a cover letter, in a separate video, because this video is already very long. It's approximately 20-22 minutes. So I'll be ending this video here, and I'll be making a separate video for cover letter and future, and a few more tips which I have learned during my research career.